Hey, so I don't know if you noticed from my last few videos, but I'm in a new apartment. I made the move to Manhattan near the end of January 2023, and I've spent the rest of the year so far figuring out how to make my new, possibly forever space fun and functional. And what I've enjoyed the most so far about the process has been outfitting this apartment with as much secondhand stuff as possible. I've always been kind of a thrifter. I even figured out how to do it in Shanghai, China. And let me just say off the bat, damn, it is so much easier here in New York to find quality used goods. Not always cheaper used goods, mind you. There's been a rise in what people are now calling fast furniture, a cousin to its fast fashion counterpart. You know, low quality but low cost items that make it seem like it's normal for a sofa to cost $2.99 and for you to change out your dining table with the seasons. No more using the same thing for the rest of your life. Our houses must now reflect what's trending as much as our outfits do. I want to caveat here that I'm not against low-cost temporary furniture. As somebody who has jumped cities and countries multiple times in the last decade, I am grateful that I don't need to pay an arm and a leg every time I get somewhere new and don't want to eat off the floor. And my location hopping is not particularly special for my generation. Us millennials can barely stay in one place for 2 years before circumstances change and we must seek our fortunes elsewhere. But unsurprisingly, the convenience of fast and cheap furniture has led to a massive uptick of it in landfills. From 2015 to 2018, the United States alone threw out over 12 million tons of furniture annually. That's double the rate of 1990. And sadly, a full 80% of what we throw away just ends up in a trash heap somewhere. What's worse, most of what's being thrown out was only made in this last decade. Because our new furniture is flimsy and cheap, when it breaks, people don't bother repairing it. It's much easier to just trash it and buy more. And more. And more. In fact, the market for new furniture is expected to grow 3% year on year, and that is like a conservative estimate. And maybe it's because every time I walk onto the streets here in New York, I see so much garbage piled up already. The thought of me contributing even more garbage into the world just gives me major ick. Especially if it's garbage that, even in this era of late-stage capitalism, it's not that hard to not generate. So anyways, here's what I do. So, since I'm in New York City, it should go without saying that this is advice that is incredibly New York City-centric. And so very few backyard sales, no outskirt warehouse rummaging, because basically I'm assuming you don't have a truck handy. Which means that, much like when I was outfitting my apartment in Shanghai, the solutions of getting stuff secondhand here are similarly community groups, e-commerce websites, and brick and mortar stores, sort of. But one big difference I found between there and here is, in Manhattan especially, the city is overflowing with people checking out or selling for cheap very nice things. God, is this what being in the first world feels like? Every time I've decided I need something but not immediately, I've set an alert on Facebook Marketplace for that thing. That's how I got these lovely wine glasses that I think were like $1 per glass. This table lamp, this standing lamp, each for $10. This ottoman and this chair and this ottoman and this chair and all of my dining chairs as well. I feel like I have used Facebook now more for Marketplace than actually staying in touch with friends. Facebook also houses the Neighborhood Buy Nothing group, which I have now regularly contributed stuff to, including my time volunteering with local give and get free stuff flea markets. It's actually kind of fun. I've given away everything from protein bars I didn't like the taste of to light fixtures that came with this place that I didn't want. And in return, I've stumbled upon some great freebies myself, like this light core that was exactly what I needed to hang my overhead lamp. And this bench, which has been an immensely useful addition to my hallway. I've heard some people find similar luck on Craigslist, and I did poke around there for nostalgia's sake, but I don't know, for many reasons I feel safer picking up something from someone if I can also see traces of a public profile from them. But there is one big problem with Facebook Marketplace, and that comes to bear if you're trying to buy anything you can't lift with your own 2 hands and walk back home with. Transport. As mentioned previously, here in New York, you probably don't have a truck handy. Heck, I don't actually even know how to drive one anyway. I haven't gotten my driver's license yet. And one very, very big mistake I made the first time I tried to buy big secondhand furniture items off of there was I did not realize how much it would cost me to find someone to deliver these things to me. You'll notice by the end of this video that I have totally skipped brick and mortar vintage stores, and largely for the same reasons. Delivery can be killer for little old me with my scrawny little arms and lack of auto mobility. Having been burnt bad by those delivery fees, I mean, getting the items to me sometimes cost as much as the items themselves. I started looking around to see what was up with the variety of e-commerce sites here that do secondhand goods. And the 3 main ones that I found that actually calculate delivery fees with your cart are chairish, artdeco, and kaiyo. Chairish fell out of the running pretty early because I think maybe Chairish is meant for high-end things, or at least higher end than I'm willing to spend. Once you try to go under $1,000 for big furniture items, the amount of what's locally available shrinks tremendously, and most of it still costs anywhere from $149 to $300 for a Chairish to get that one item to your house. So by the time you found, say, a pair of restoration hardware used chairs that might match what you're looking for, you're paying somewhere around $2,000 for them, which is like probably about half of what they would have cost new. But also, do these look like they're worth $2,000 to you? They seem like they really need some upholstering. Apartment deco was on the opposite side of the spectrum, with a lot of cheaper, more pedestrian options. But the problem with that is most of what you found on there was Wayfair goods. And while $90-ish for shipping was much cheaper than the rates I was finding on Chairish, because Wayfair goods are just so cheap to begin with, that'd bring the cost of most of what was on sale up to retail brand new, sometimes higher. I mean, I guess buying old Wayfair goods is more environmentally friendly than buying new Wayfair goods. It kind of rubs me the wrong way to buy what's essentially less responsible IKEA for market price. And then there was kaiyo. I've got to admit, the main thing that kept me clicking around on the site was the very tantalizing offer to ship everything for free once you purchased more than $1,400 worth, which isn't too hard to reach if you've got 3 or 4 pieces of good big furniture you want gotten to you at a time. I've so far ended up putting 2 orders in about 3 months apart, and each cart took me about a month of regular check-ins to curate properly. My first batch from kaiyo were pieces to make this living and dining space more functional and cute. I drew up a layout and set some min-max sizes for the types of furniture I needed and some color schemes I wanted to keep too. So for instance, I knew I wanted to make the whole center of my apartment a place to convene and then relax, but I also needed storage. So I set an acceptable range for various shelf depths and table widths, and favorited anything that looked nice. And then when I had enough choices that actually seemed exciting to me, I went back in to pick the 3 or 4 that actually complemented each other. So I sort of designed the space around this velvet green couch that I brought over from my last apartment. And by the way, I only found out recently that apparently velvet green couches are a millennial girly thingy and a possibly bi girly thingy. I just got it because cat scratches don't show up on velvet. I didn't know that my couch was going to be more sexually interesting than I am. Anyway, I went to look for a rounder, friendlier coffee table to go with it, and I came across this little chinoiserie gem. It even has extra seating. It was very black, which meant that black kind of needed to become more of a base color through line for this room. And so to ensure it didn't get too heavy and dark, I chose a dining table with black legs, but very lovely light top. It's from Ethan Allen, I think. And I tried to make the shelving black but thin metal. For a coffee console, I wanted a more fun pop of color, so I looked for ones that matched the various shades of the chinoiserie glazing, and I came across this teal one. So 4 pieces of quality furniture got me to that $1,400 mark really easily, and you know what? It really was the white glove delivery they promised. Okay, I'm getting a little into the weeds of actual interior design, which is not quite what this video is about, but if you like the act of just decorating your homes. I suppose I'm just trying to convey the thrill of creating a dream space being made possible without buying virgin furniture. To keep this runtime short, I'm not gonna talk about what my second delivery consisted of, except for that some of the habits I utilized for that, putting things into my notes app of furniture I would possibly want, going on kaiyo every now and then to favorite things, and then when I felt like there were several pieces that I definitely had decided on, going through my list to see what was still available is something I'm still doing now. What's up? And this is my apartment now, near the tail end of 2023. Look, will all of this secondhand buying stop this march towards trash-filled destruction that we're already on? I don't know. As with basically every environmental problem, individual actions are very trip-drop towards actual impact compared to, say, greening a supply chain, government intervention. Banish the thought. But as with the same as eschewing fast fashion, I do think that even trying to individually go a more sustainable route just makes you a little more aware of what is actually happening along the whole consumer chain. And quite frankly, no company would even begin doing anything towards sustainability unless there were an increasing amount of consumer voices calling for it. At this point in time, it's no longer a matter of whether or not we'll be screwed by climate change, but when. And if each action towards sustainability even delays our inevitable self-immolation by a second, it is a second that I will happily take and promote you all taking. After all, while it's not like me choosing to buy used goods erases all the methane gas already being released into the atmosphere, it's also not like me blithely choosing fast furniture doesn't contribute to the problem. And well, it feels nice to keep pretty things out of the trash heap, waste not, want not, and all that. Alright, if you enjoyed this whole chat, subscribe and see you next time doing whatever it is I happen to be doing.